I've been wondering about creatine for some time. I've seen a few people post that it causes them anxiety, but has not been reported enough to be listed as a side effect.
Okay, so creatine...
Are the healing properties of high-dose vitamins worth the downsides of sunflower oil? What factors should we be considering when making these decisions?
What do you think of people who say, many of you within functional medicine and wellness, that you're just another problem in our big wellness?
Way to start it off.
No, he's dropping
some accusations
Yeah,
there.
he is.
You want the weirdest off-the-wall questions, so...
We love it.
I felt like I was having movement in my...
What's up, and welcome to the Art of Being Well. We have giveaway time. My goodness, listeners love the giveaways.
We love the giveaways.
What are we giving away? You may ask. You may be asking yourself. We're giving away free signed books. You can pick which one you want: Ketotarian, the inflammation spectrum, gut feelings, and intuitive fasting. I switched the two's order, but the four babies, the 4-book babies, and we're giving away free telehealth consultations with the amazing team here, and we're giving away what else? Free supplement protocol stacks that we have at drwillcole.com. We have hormone protocols, gut health protocols, so many different things. So check them all out and pick which one you want if you win. For a chance to win, head on over to Apple Podcasts. You've been there before, right? And rate and review The Art of Being Well there on Apple Podcasts. Tell us what you love about the show. You can leave your Instagram handle in the Apple Podcast review itself, or take a screenshot of your review and message me on Instagram at Dr. Will Cole. And the team goes through the messages on Instagram, as well as reading the Apple podcast reviews themselves, and randomly pick winners from both places. And then we'll reach out to you, and you can tell us what you want, whether it's the books, the protocol, or the telehealth consults. And then we'll either get you scheduled for the telehealth consult or ship out the book or protocol. Good luck. So about twice a month lately, we've been doing it twice a month, we have entire episodes of The Art of Being Well devoted to your health questions. So submit your health questions. It could be about different health topics you see trending in the media or on social media, maybe a research study that you saw and you want our perspective on it from a functional medicine perspective. Maybe your questions about your health condition, your health goals, a supplement you heard about and you want to know our take on it. What's the science behind it? Maybe it's a different way of eating. Maybe it's a biohack or anything. So it's a far gamut, far-reaching categories of questions that you can ask to ask us. We added to this little living document, a Google Doc, and we hash out which ones we want to curate for each of these episodes. To get on that Google Doc, email us at hello, right? I had to ask, I wasn't sure of that. Hello at drwillcole.com. Hello at drwillcole.com. Sam on our patient experience team adds all of your questions to this legendary Google Doc. And then we get to as many of your health questions in these episodes. So keep them sending in. And to help me out, every Ask Me Anything, we have 2 brilliant members from my functional medicine team. They are functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners. I've worked with them since the olden days.
The dawn of time.
For too long.
Dawn of time. We are immortal elves. We've worked together for a long time.
We should dress up as elves one episode.
Wait.
I would like that.
I feel like,
I think I would like that. That would be fun. Andrea and Emily, what's up?
Hello.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, so let's jump in. What's the first?
All right.
Take us there, Andrea.
That's
question?
me.
And I put her on the spot. You
Bum, bum, bum.
don't know what I'm going to say, like, let's dive into the questions.
Let's dive into it. I want to dive into it.
Please.
We're
Hold
getting
your horses.
We're getting loopier as these shows go on. All right. Now, yes, I'm prepared and ready, and we can ask your question.
You know what I mean? The iPhone is locked.
Yes.
She reads the questions off of her iPhone.
Yes.
So when the question's locked, and I can see the look of terror in your eyes because I'm
She's
like jumping
wait,
into the question. Wait,
give
I'm
me,
not ready.
give me 30 seconds.
Well, I
And
know
these episodes are unedited. They're just it is what
I'm pretty
it
good.
is.
I can
Yeah, I know you are.
Random.
I've worked with you
ramble.
long enough to know, like I
can
spurred it on you quickly.
All right. Anyways, so I am prepared and do have the question up.
Okay.
This one is from Joey F. He said, What I kind of like this one. It's kind of accusatory, but it's good. What do you think of people who say many of you within functional medicine and wellness who are talking about big chem, big ag, big pharma, big food, that you're just another problem in our big wellness?
Oh, wow. Way to start it off.
Joey's dropping
Dropping some accusations there.
He is. Joey. I love you, Joey. But here's the deal. I have seen that question, that critique in the comment section on social media, on other people's Instagram feeds. What's my take? What's our take on this? Is that when we bring up those of us within functional medicine, within wellness, within nutrition, this sort of diverse community of talking about, we dare to talk about the unmentionable. We can't talk about big food. We can't talk about big ag, big chem, big pharma. The accusations come in when you come against an orthodoxy, a deeply entrenched, a deeply powerful orthodoxy. And then what's invariably talked about sometimes in these judgments, in this sort of shade that's thrown at us for daring to talk about these industries and their incestuous relationship with the government, is they will bring up the fact that the statistic is, so to speak, that the wellness industry is worth trillions of dollars. I've seen it anywhere from $4 to $6 trillion, and that is the wellness industry. It's a multi-trillion-dollar industry. So then you are pointing fingers at big pharma and big chem and big ag. All right, my thoughts here are a few. That's $4 to $6 trillion statistic that's brought up with quote unquote wellness is very, very broad and very, very general and loose. Do you know what's included oftentimes? What's included in that 4 to 6 trillion? Well, vaccines.
Are you what?
Wow.
Yeah, vaccines are lumped into wellness because it's preventative. It's preventative. And do you know who owns a lot of different supplement companies? Big pharma.
Yeah.
Because they are in the business of making money. So they're double dipping in a lot of what is considered wellness is actually owned by big pharma. So yes, it's a convenient statistic because it makes everyone within wellness looks like they're just Scrooge McDuck diving into their big vault of money. But that huge number includes significant swaths of that number is owned by big pharma and big food. You look at the amount of wellness companies that are bought by big food companies.
Siete.
I mean, a lot of ones.
Yeah, Poppy.
So you can, wellness is big food. I should say it this way in a more articulate way. Wellness, a lot of wellness, big wellness, quote unquote, is owned by big food and big pharma. So to use that as a pejorative, an indictment, it's sort of smug judgment on the random influencer that's making a few dollars off of her affiliate code and calling her big wellness is asinine. And it's a way to shut people up. It's a way to delegitimize and shut people down of these independent, oftentimes small business, entrepreneurial person that is not a part of any corporate conglomerate. They just dare to speak out against an industry that is deeply problematic and corrupt. So look, and at the end of the day, let's just assume there is some sort of conspiratorial, monolithic, big wellness and comparing it to big pharma big. Let's just assume that's the case, right? Which it's a myth. That's a myth. We have a lot of different things like vaccines and gyms and food owned by big corporations within that number. But let's assume that is some monolithic thing. What are they doing? They're making money. People are making money within wellness around getting people healthy. Wow. That's horrible, right? I mean, that should be judged so deeply. When somebody is making a living and being successful by helping other people. Is this the state of affairs that we're in? That this is somehow, okay, that's that's the worst you got, that somebody's successful at and helping somebody. I think this is the state of affairs. So it's a nice, I would call it a last ditch effort of people that are either part of these industries, or people that are so deeply indoctrinated by these industries that they want to find anything they can to say that this is apples to apples. This is comparing wellness to these industries is a ridiculous statement. And look, in my personal opinion, someone being successful in making money isn't the problem. It's how are they making their money? What are they making their money by doing? That's the difference. Someone selling a greens powder or a multivitamin, or a startup company that's a regenerative farm, or whatever thing, these better for you, conscious capitalism type of companies that are just trying to make the world a better place and making money off of that isn't the negative thing.
No.
It's, to me, it's like, how do you have blood on your hands with the chronic disease epidemic of the United States? That's the issue.
Well, to me, it's, if you even want to just make it sort of silly, this is what I was thinking about the other day. You don't have someone from your like, let's just say you have a small hometown business that does really well, and they end up being very prosperous. It's an electrical business. It's a carpentry business. It's they build homes in that area, construction. No one looks at that and goes, look at big business just making big business, unless they're jealous and it's like someone like that. But you are in the wellness space and you do that same thing. You become successful. You become prosperous. Then it's a condemnation on you. Like, you're a problem. You're big wellness now. And it's like, well, no, to your point, it's like, how are you making your money? And you don't criticize the everyday people that end up succeeding. You want that. That's what capitalism is. Like, it's a good thing to come to this country, be born in this country, work hard, and do something good, and that could be do it well in general. Like, my husband's a fantastic electrician. It's in charge of making sure that someone's home is safe and provided the electrical services that they need. No one's going to criticize him for doing well. But here we are, just doing our everyday thing, helping very sick people get well, but we're going to be criticized for what we do. It doesn't make sense. And it's because it's so centered around health. And that becomes
right. The electrician isn't threatening
exactly,
in
an industry. Quo. Yes, exactly.
So wellness is seen as a threat,
but that's my point.
A disruptor
is that because not
we're disruptors.
It's what we do, not because we're successful.
Yeah, and I think to like the people who make comments, or with what this person is asking too, what do you think of those people? To me, if you think you can do it better, here's the keys. Go right ahead.
Yeah.
If you think you can, that's how I feel, because it's just like, if you come in and see the heart of the people who are doing that, even the influencers, right? Like, to me, like, we're wanting people to feel good. Like, even the people who are part of the movement, right? Like, they're just trying to get some artificial dyes out of your food, bro. Like, they're just trying, like, to me, they're just trying to make things better for all of us, which
but it's
the fact that you could see that as a bad thing. Again, if you can do it better, here's the keys.
But see, that's the point though. It's not the success. It's what we do. And that's the problem. They call it big.
It's a combination of the two.
Yeah, but they're calling it big wellness because it's successful. If it wasn't an industry that was gaining traction, thank God, because now people have options, they wouldn't care about us. It's the influence that we have too.
Yeah.
So it's
the influence is threatening.
Yes, and that's the problem.
That's any disruptor to any industry. This is a typical response, but this is, I think, extra concentrated right now because we actually are taking ground.
Thank God.
That we haven't taken before.
100%. And so is it really the prosperity part of it, or is it the disruption of it? Is it what we do that's actually what you're unhappy about?
But and then I don't want to digress too much, but I do think that it's part of this is tied into political philosophy, because I do think that the success part of it is like the entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
When the average person makes money, I think that part of these people, some of the voices that I hear, it's so tied into neo-Marxism and sort of like that health should not be monetized. It should be a government centralized, subsidized
because they do it so
thing.
well.
Right. So I do.
Right.
You're right. All of what we're saying is true. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is this is people's, like, why we're irking so many people is complex. I think there's a lot of different reasons why we irk people.
Yeah.
And I think some people, it's just like health should just be a centralized government
Which is
socialized
so
thing.
funny because we offer so many free resources.
Right.
But I also, I guess I would just wonder if those people were dealing with severe chronic illnesses, and some of them maybe, right, to a degree, but if they also understood and tried it, I just wonder if you'd feel differently. Like, you're seeing the people who are doing it, who are actually making these lifestyle changes and seeing it impact their lives to the point where they can do things that they haven't been able to do in 15, 20 years. I just wonder if you feel better.
It's so true, because it's the people that are
or feel differently.
Throwing stones, they have not walked in the shoes of our patients.
100%.
Like, they have, it's so it's theoretical, smug, elitist pontification. It's not somebody in the throes of an autoimmune flare. It's not someone struggling with a hormonal imbalance or a digestive problem, because those people do not care about your smug pontification on social media.
Nope.
They care about getting better. And guess what? We are getting people better.
Making it happen,
If that is offensive to you, I mean, that is pretty nefarious.
100%.
So, and then to make a huge, broad sweeping statement about wellness as some sort of monolithic thing is just inaccurate. Mm-hmm. Some may call it misinformation, because it's not accurate. I mean, what are you talking about? Vaccines, which is lumped into that number? Or are you talking about
our small family-owned business?
A small boutique functional medicine telehealth clinic that may seem to you like it's some massive corporate thing, but it's social media. Social media is an illusion in many ways to act like your perception of us or somebody else may not be the reality, and it probably isn't. No.
And I don't want to harp on this, and we can move on too, but I do want to point out that all those people that are like, the government should fund this, I'm sorry. We've had patients that are in Europe and other countries that they have waited 18 months for a life-saving surgery. Are you kidding me? I just saw someone that I know post the other day, their next doctor's visit that they could get in to get seen is December of 2026. 2026. Wow. Yeah. It's like, you mean our 2 to 4 week waiting period where we can get people in, start getting them feeling better, helped. That's what you want to
Just the context here for people is that we do have a unique perspective on being telehealth for the past 15 years. We have people from all different countries.
Yes.
So ours is not theoretical. It's not some sort of political, like, axe to grind.
No.
It's real people, real results,
that have gone
what
through
works,
real
what
things.
doesn't work. We're hearing people's experiences, their lived experiences, and we see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's it.
And if you do want to come at me about it, come at me. I don't care. But it's the truth. It is literally what we see and talk to people about who are really experiencing it. I'm not the one that's being victimized by it, but I have helped people that are. And they deserve to be heard. And they deserve to be helped.
Yeah, there's so much. I mean, this is another form of medical gaslighting.
100%.
It is, because you're basically delegitimizing an entire group of people and their experience in helping people or being helped by this.
Yes. That's one of my biggest things. I don't care what people say about me and us as a whole, quite honestly, because I know I stand behind what we're doing and how we're helping people. What hurts me is that if someone sees that and is persuaded wrongly, where we could have really helped someone. That's sad.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Right.
And I may be clear on this. My statements of big pharma owning supplement companies or big food owning food companies that are health brands, right? Many examples of it. I love it. I actually think it's really great. Big pharma wants to own a supplement company to help people because they are going where the money's going, and they are not maybe going in for altruistic reasons. Maybe they are. I don't know. But they own. I think that's a fine thing. Big, massive, influential big food companies can buy startup brands that are better for you, healthy. I have zero problem. We've been to Expo West. It's the largest natural food expo in
really
Anaheim every year. A lot of those massive fancy booths, within wellness are owned by big food, I think it's by and large, largely a great thing.
Right.
And it's getting in the hands of more people, better
gets
for
in
you
more
options.
stores.
Yep.
It gets
Yep.
them
The penetration
more
of the
visibility.
market is a lot further.
Yeah.
So I don't, and maybe I'm checking myself and ourselves, and even talking about big food and big pharma. It's not all bad. There's lots of great things that are a part of it. We're not talking about the great parts. We're talking about the parts that are an issue and really perpetuating and enabling the poor health of the United States. So look, we could do better with words too. Nuance and context matter, but this indictment against us is, in comparing us to these industries, is to me like it's a way to like deflect.
Yes,
But
exactly.
but here's the thing: the heart of it is that we would feel the same way if it was a small business hurting someone or a large business. So it's not even just the complexity and size of it; it's the intention and what they're doing behind it. So your point of saying that there's companies that are doing good things and they're starting to incorporate and layer in these better for you health brands.
Their portfolio, like Big Food and Big Pharma's portfolio, is now shifting towards owning a good percentage, if not the majority of big wellness, quote unquote.
I love that we're in that because I loved your Scrooge McDuck thing. I'm like, LOL, if only. It's just silly. It's not accurate reflection at all. We're just people who want to help people.
That's it. That's it. All right. Next question. Okay. So this question is from Elise. I've been wondering about creatine for some time. I'm a 37-year-old female who tried it and felt like after one dose of 5 milligrams, it made me irritable. But I'm also someone who is sensitive to everything. Ooh, we should talk about that. I've seen a few people post that it causes them anxiety, but has not been reported enough to be listed as a side effect. Have you ever run into this issue or have any idea of what could cause this?
Okay, so creatine is one of the most well-researched supplements out there. When you look in scientific literature, I don't think there's maybe a few competitors out there at different supplements, but really you'd be hard pressed to find something in the quote unquote supplement category that's more researched than creatine. Okay, so it has lots of health benefits. People know about like preserving lean muscle mass, helping recovery. There's lots of studies to show that. I could break down some of the ones that I'm aware of. One, this improved muscle strength and power, so working out, right? Creatine enhances strength by enhancing ATP production, cellular energy production. The study out of the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research is a 2003 study titled Effects of Creatine Supplementation in Resistance Training on Muscle Strength. Great way to build lean muscle, which is needed for energy, for longevity, for metabolic health, all of those things. Enhanced exercise performance. Creatine is great for that. Increased muscle mass. Great for that. But how we utilize it more clinically, yes, part of that is that. But it's really the cognitive benefits.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brain energy.
Really helpful at improving mental focus, at decreasing depression symptoms. There's a lot of cognitive brain health benefits to creatine that many people don't know. So it's in some of our supplementation support because it works upon methylation, which is a big interconnected superhighway that's needed for energy production mainly, and that's interplayed with detoxification and hormone production. It's just, if methylation's not working well, you're not feeling well. And creatine is one aspect to that. It's a lot more complex than just creatine synthesis and metabolism, but it's part of that. But because it works on methylation, it is going to modulate many different things in the body because of the profundity of the expansive influence of methylation has on the body. When you're modulating that or impacting that in any way, it is very bio-individual because that's a lot of different variables to consider with something so complex as methylation. So creatine actually utilizes methyl groups, which are carbon-hydrogen groups, CH3 groups. So when you're supplementing with creatine, you in theory are going to free up these methyl donors so your body can actually utilize it towards other things like homocysteine recycling. Homocysteine is an inflammation marker. We measure it on every telehealth patient. The optimal range for homocysteine, this inflammation marker, is under 7. And many people have higher homocysteine levels. So in theory, there's studies that show that creatine may have a beneficial effect on lowering homocysteine, because you're basically, by supplementing with exogenous creatine, your body doesn't need to utilize those methyl donors, those CH3 groups, to produce creatine endogenously or naturally. You're basically supplementing, so your body's it's taking a load off of that production line, basically. So homocysteine isn't good from a neurological standpoint. Homocysteine is associated, acts as a neurotoxin. It increases blood-brain barrier permeability or leaky brain syndrome, things passing through the blood-brain barrier that shouldn't be, or it's implicated into neuroinflammation or nervous system brain inflammation. Anxiety, depression, brain fog, fatigue are all neuroinflammatory, or at least, depending on the case, at least have a neuroinflammatory component for most people. So creatine could be beneficial. And this research shows that for many people's mental health issues, creatine is actually beneficial. But what's the mechanism of action here? It increases ATP. Just like it does that for your muscles, it's doing that to the brain too.
Right.
So if somebody has a predisposition or has some sort of imbalance or some sort of dysregulation going on, more prone for whatever epigenetic or genetic reason towards anxiety.
I have to go low and slow. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Because you're increasing ATP. That ATP increase could increase the amygdala, which could increase anxiety symptoms in some people. There's studies that show that. There's not a lot of studies on this, but let me find one that I was looking in preparation for today. I'll find it right here. Yeah. It was published in Neuropsychology, Development, and Cognition, the medical journal. The name of the study was Creatine Supplementation and Cognitive Performance in Elderly Individuals. And it found that the neurological benefit was bio-individual. That some people saw lots of improvements, some people saw some maybe increase of anxiety, anxiousness symptoms. So that's what we see clinically too.
Yeah.
So to Emily's point that you just said, like starting off low and slow, seeing how when you modulate methylation in this way, how does this impact you? And we see the same with other methyl modulators, like methylfolate, methylcobalamin.
Yeah, we can see that happen a lot.
So anything that modulates methylation, good things that are actually needed. I mean, you need creatine, you need folate, you need B12, you need these things, you need TMG, you need peroxidine, you need these different substrates, these compounds that are helpful, vitamins, compounds that are supportive of methylation. But more isn't always better. And can you get it from whole foods and not supplements?
Right.
Because that impacts how the body metabolizes things. But what do you
even just taking other burdens off the body too, right? Like sometimes we have a really hard time bringing in support like that from the beginning, but we might just have to pivot a little bit and start helping take off burdens in other ways. So that way we really can support this more, right? We might start through whole foods, even things like organ meats, nature's multivitamin, right? We might have to use whole foods or other things that are going to be helpful with B vitamins and
creatine.
And creatine,
if
right?
You're having beef, you're having red meat. You're getting creatine.
Exactly.
To be clear on that.
Right. So, but I think that's why I say the low and slow too, because I don't want you to just give up on these things, right? Like it might not be creatine, right? But it could be something else that works better for you. And I think sometimes we can just say, oh, it didn't work, right? But you may have done too much. You may have, started a little bit too quickly, right? And I think that it's okay to go low and slow and find what works best for you. I mean, the research is there though on creatine, even just what they're finding of how it impacts traumatic brain injuries, right? And Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, like this is an incredible beneficial supplement. And again, you don't have to get it in this way, right? You could use whole foods. I love food as medicine, and it may just be finding what works best for you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't really have too much to add. I agree with all of this. And to me, the part of the question was that she said that she's sensitive to everything. And I'm like, well, let's acknowledge that it could be the creatine thing, but how much of it is that there are other burdens on the body, and this, like you're mentioning, Dr. Cole, and how you're mentioning like how it can impact the brain. is there something else that's taxing the body that when we increase this, that this is when she's experiencing her issues?
Yeah.
So
To Andrea's point, like we see things like environmental toxins, mold issues,
Yes.
Right.
where it's like that this is not the best way to say it, but think of it like this. This is a better way of saying it, is up-regulating certain things that tangentially, indirectly impact detoxification. So these Herxheimer type responses or detox responses, creatine can, in theory, because it's impacting methylation, be up-regulating, upticking, increasing certain things that your body is clearing. That's a potential.
Yeah.
As far as another mechanism of action, where maybe it's not ATP and amygdala function increase. Well, maybe it could be, but what is causing that amygdala nervous system dysregulation? What is it? Is it an environmental toxin that's causing it?
Is it not the creatine?
Right.
It's what the
Right.
other
what creatine is provoking.
It's
Exactly.
exactly.
That circulation, right? That methylation is going to be improved. Things are going to
Which
start
is-
to reveal themselves a
Yeah,
little bit
exactly.
more.
And
So
we see
with-
this with a lot of patients, though.
with different things.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's
Yeah.
not just creatine, it's anything. You look at some people that they respond poorly to magnesium. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
let's have
Or
a conversation.
vitamin D.
Or vitamin
Yeah.
D. We have so many patients that are like,
Right.
nope, I took 100 IUs and it made me
Can't
feel
do it.
awful.
These innocuous, benign
Like very
things.
tiny,
Yeah.
Right.
like little amounts. And so for me, the question begs itself is, well, why are you experiencing that? That's
Yeah.
where you should start exploring that bioindividuality. Why is this happening in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Because the research is there to support creatine, but you're still your own person.
Right.
And so we need to figure out what that is.
And when we deal with these things that make the body a little bit less resilient or a little bit more prone to being sensitive, whether it be an environmental toxin or hormonal imbalance or biotoxins like bacteria, virus, mold, when you address those issues, then your body can tolerate things you weren't able to tolerate, whether it's a food or a supplement or both. You can titrate things a lot more unimpededly to get to that therapeutic dose that's in the research,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because the research may be 5 grams for creatine,
Right.
and you're not tolerating like a half of a gram. Like, okay, so why is that? That's the question that we're kind of gets us going on. Like,
this is almost like a check engine light for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
for me
What's
is
going
something else. This isn't creatine. There's something else going on. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we just
I would agree.
educated about creatine. But the question that everybody should be asking themselves, if there's something that on the surface works for most people but doesn't work for you, why?
Why?
yeah. So
And so-
it's bio-individual, but it's
Yeah.
typically something you can address.
Exactly.
You don't have
Yeah.
the sensitivity to everything like this person is saying.
And we see so many patients like that.
So
they come
many
to us not
patients.
able to
Yep.
take anything, and then we get them to the point where they can open up detox pathways and not feel
Or-
ill.
Yeah.
Or, you know, this, I'm sure you guys have heard this many times over the years, but they'll say this. It's almost like these sensitive type of cases talk to each other, but it's not, because they just have the same experience and they have
Yeah.
the same beautiful way of explaining it. They say, whatever the effect is, I have the opposite.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
oftentimes-
a literally,
that's how
yeah,
they say
that's
it.
so
Yeah.
good.
Because they're like, they'll read about the benefit and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
no, it's the opposite. This
I-
thing's supposed to give me energy. It makes
Yeah.
me more tired.
I'm
Or it's
supposed to make me
tired
calm, and I feel like I have
increasing-
horrible
Wired,
anxiety.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also love working with those patients too, but just seeing the transformation that happens
Yeah,
when we
it's fun.
start
Yeah.
opening up pathways, addressing the nervous system. These people go from either not being able to take it to only being able to take a dash of something to getting up to a full dose that works for them, right? Like, I think that is a really cool
that is
thing.
a great sign. Beyond the labs improving and their symptoms improving,
Yeah.
it's these
I can
type of
literally think of like
granular
5
things that are
patients
very
off the top of
interesting.
my head.
It's like, oh, you couldn't tolerate that before, but now you not only tolerate it, but you see amazing
Yeah.
benefits from it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's why I say don't give up, right? You know, again, it still may not be the right thing for you right this second. But I think, just as you said, Andrea, ask that question, why? Don't just say, oh, that doesn't work. Ask the question, well, why? And do I need someone to help me figure that out? And that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So,
It's one of my favorite parts of my job.
Yeah.
yeah.
Big wellness.
Yep. You know, over here diving into my gold fund over here. All right. So
DuckTales.
sorry. All right. Next question. This person asked to be anonymous, so they'll know who they are when they hear us read this out. It is a woman. I think I'm allowed to say that. She said, "Hello, Dr. Will Cole and team. You want the weirdest off the wall question, so
We love it. We love it.
I felt like I was having movement in my head and around my skull. Sometimes sharp spins, really freaked myself out and did one of those full body pre-nuvo scans, which by the way, we do like. Turns out I'm healthy, but what I do have is a mucus nodule the size of a quarter, maybe a little nugget, hanging out in my right sinus cavity. That's really the only thing that popped up on the scan. Totally creepy, but I'm having trouble breathing too. Even when I put my mouth tape on at night, I can't keep my mouth closed because I'm not getting enough air. It's mainly my right nostril that's blocked. When I lay on my left side, I can't feel it. Let me read that for her. I think she said, I can keep feeling it slide over to the left, but it basically hangs out on the right. Is this a parasite? ? Exclamation. Either way, how do I get rid of it so I can breathe? I need it to go away.
I can't. Andrea, I'm not laughing at this question. First off, I'm laughing because you're the one reading this question, and all I can think about when you read it is lumpy.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess we're gonna give away my personal.
I can't
You
help
are
it.
outing
I can't
Andrea
help
in
it.
front of millions of people.
I also, but I'm doing it because I know she doesn't care at all.
Speaking of
But
Prenuvo, it actually came up on
it
Prenuvo.
makes me feel bad because we didn't believe you for years.
100%. Okay, so we're gonna talk about my medical history. I didn't know we were doing this, and you're right. I don't care. It's fine. So Prenuvo was super awesome to invite Will and I to New York to experience these scans so that we could talk about it. This was a few years ago.
This is not sponsored by Prenuvo.
No, that's
be
not.
Clear on this.
Well, we can't. So it's medical.
Yeah.
Like we can't do that. So not big wellness. But Prenuvo invited us because we love to learn new things. I don't want to become antiquated and old and stuck in our ways. So we want to be able to know what's available to patients. So they were kind enough to offer Will and I to come out there and get a Prenuvo done. So I had no intentions of doing this. I was just going to go do it so that I could talk to patients about it, especially as someone who's not claustrophobic, but it can experience what it looks like. Anyways, I do the scan. Dr. Coles comes back amazing. He's perfectly healthy. He's wonderful.
All it said was demigod. That's what the report
That's all
said.
it said.
Eye rolls for days.
Yeah, seriously, it was so annoying. Mine, on the other hand, more complicated. But one of the things that they found was a mass in my throat. That's not exactly the most good feeling to read.
We were in Texas
Yes.
speaking.
Yeah, we were all together when she got the results.
I got it. I opened it up in our Uber when it was not exactly.
We were speaking at, I think, the biohacking conference.
Yeah. So I opened it up and there's a mass in my throat. And they say you need to seek attention immediately, essentially. So I go to an ENT, and one, it's funny because I found out I have a deviated septum too. So they couldn't even go down my right nostril to see it. They had to go down my left, and then they had to go down my throat. And it turns out there's a mass in my throat. I had for about 2 years had been having issues swallowing, and I kept thinking it was my thyroid, or maybe there was just some swelling or my lymph nodes. Had no idea. Will and Emily laughed at me probably weekly about, because I'd be like,
this is gonna make us
clearing my
sound
throat.
like a-holes, but listen,
no, it's not
Weekly.
extreme. No. Every time I cleared my throat,
But she would
for 2
choke
years.
a lot when she would eat, and we're like, "What is wrong with you?"
Because I had a mass in my throat.
But we didn't know.
But
We didn't know.
But
Listen, we have a lot of fun. You're making it sound like a-holes, but it might have been a little.
Yes, you were, and you guys all felt
Whatever.
bad, and we're like, "Oh,
Yes,
sorry."
but it's redeemed because I got you to New York with Prenuvo.
Oh
You did.
my gosh, he's going to thank himself, and I want to thank me.
Well, I think it makes up for all those years of thinking, okay, why are you clearing your throat like that?
It's because I had a mass that was like taking up a
We
third
were
of my
concerned.
throat.
We didn't know why she was choking all the time. It's like, Andrea, you're eating soup. Why are you choking?
But here, we can use this for twofold. One, don't ignore symptoms.
Don't
Get them
ignore
checked
it.
out.
Yes,
Get
please,
them checked out.
please,
Even
please.
if you're in big
It's-
wellness, man,
Yes.
even more so.
Yes, and
yes, we did name him because
it was
it
lumpy.
made it lighthearted.
We
Okay,
we needed to do that for my.
laugh about
It turned
Yes.
out it's benign. It was a benign tumor that
She
was.
got it removed. She took care of it.
I got it. It was so rare that they don't think it'll ever come back. I had like this very rare tumor. All of this to say is, I know how you feel.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yes.
you're like, I'm choking, I'm sleeping, something's not
Absolutely.
right.
Something's not right,
Something's
yeah.
in my nasal cavity. These are not. It's not in your head. There very much can be very real things that are going on. What's going on? So you have a nodule.
And this just happens to be in her head, but not in the
mentally in her head, like physically in her head.
Yeah.
But it is like it's in her nostril. She feels it. It does feel like you're suffocating. I felt like I was choking. I knew that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
So I think some of what she could be experiencing is just physiological being blocked within her
it's
nasal
obstructive.
cavity.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Now, as far as the moving around, Dr. Ho, I'd love to hear your opinion. I have some thoughts. Is this creating equilibrium issues like POTS-like syndrome?
My thought why is the mucocele, that's what those are typically referred to as. It's basically oftentimes a blocked mucus duct. That's the way that they're describing it, is a mucocele. And back to sort of our earlier perspective on these type of things with creatine supplementation, this applies here. Well, why is the mucus gland blocked?
Yes.
Why is there an immune system response with increased mucus production? What's irritating the immune system. So that's a larger context of labs, health history, looking at environmental factors that could be disturbing and dysregulating the immune system in such a way where there is the mucocele and the larger sort of sinus microbiome, sinus mucus disruption here, and the biofilm of the sinus. So my thought is, with the moving around, could just be the pressure of the inflammation.
That's what I'm thinking.
Mucus
Yeah.
itself.
And then when she lays on her left side,
Yes,
the inflammation puts pressure on the
yes.
other side.
Yes.
It's feeling like it's moving, and things are moving,
Yeah.
but I don't think
It's more like pressure
Yes.
than
Yes.
anything else.
people automatically go to sort of parasites. We
Right.
hear that a lot, like, oh, it's
Yeah.
a parasite, because when they feel it moving, they feel like, oh, this is automatically a parasite.
Yeah.
My mind wouldn't go to that first and foremost. It would be more of some sort of immune system irritation. There's something is irritating the immune system.
Well,
Pressure,
and for
swelling,
me, I
yeah.
think even though they didn't find anything on Prenuvo necessarily, it doesn't mean there's not something else going on. So we know that biotoxins, especially even when we're looking at mold toxins, a lot of them can come from inhalation.
Yeah.
Those can become trapped in the nasal
Right.
cavity.
And that's going to irritate it even more.
And then that makes you more prone to imbalances. And so that can create neurological feelings. So that feeling of it fluttering around her head or the moving of the
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Is there a neurological component that's being exacerbated
Yeah.
by
And when
this
there's-
pathogen?
When there's
Absolutely.
immune system activation, when there's chronic inflammation that's impacting that area in the head, it can impact your proprioception. It can impact
Yes.
your
Yeah.
stability,
Yeah.
and it can exacerbate things like vertigo and dizziness
Yes.
and lightheadedness and brain fog and fatigue. So it is that larger, it's not the mucocele that's causing all these symptoms per se, even though it is space occupying. So that is probably throwing off some impacting pressure, of course. And obstructing her breathing. But it's this larger context of why it's there in the first place. So looking at things like mold, other environmental toxins, looking at the gut as home to 75% of the immune system.
Yes.
So what is going on with the larger microbiome of the sinus, but its interplay with the gut, is something that we'd be looking at things like viruses, reactivation of viruses, different opportunistic and pathogenic bacteria should be looked at as well. So it's oftentimes a confluence of different factors, but health history, labs would really be giving us context into what's going on here.
Yep.
And we have a lot of people that have these bacterial, viral, mold, biotoxin type issues. We have them do sinus
Irrigation.
Yeah.
With different antimicrobial agents that would be supportive of a healthy biofilm, which is the mucosal barrier within the sinuses, but also kill off these opportunistic and pathogenic bacteria, viruses, and mycotoxins.
Yeah, we use things like colloidal silver, other
Iodine.
iodine.
Yeah.
We do, and each person's going to be different on what they need and what it is. Because when you have a blockage, you do have to be careful about that. So I don't recommend you doing that on your own.
Yes, I think that
Without
Talk with your
being-
doctor,
yes.
reach out to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're having breathing problems, we want to make this bio-individual as far as our suggestions for you.
Right.
Yeah, and don't ignore lumpy. Like go
Don't
get him.
ignore.
Don't ignore it. That's a lesson learned here at the telehealth center. Like, we see it every
Yeah.
day, and it's like,
Well, it's-
Andrea knew her body, and it wasn't
Yeah.
just her clearing her throat for no reason. There was a reason for that.
Yeah, and I shouldn't have ignored it. But when you get into life and you get busy and you do things, I made it.
Right.
You put it on the back burner.
Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's easy to do. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I want everybody to use that as a lesson to advocate for yourself, even if it does seem abnormal.
And even if it doesn't seem life-threatening, right?
Yeah, because it ended up being benign.
Yeah.
But the question that I had to ask myself is, well, why did my body grow a benign tumor? Like there's things that you still have to ask about, and there's still things you have to explore. And I do live and breathe this every day.
Yeah, and even though it's a small thing, it still has improved the quality of life, right? You're
100%.
not clearing your throat. You're not choking when you
Nobody
eat.
makes fun of me anymore for going every 5 seconds.
No.
So.
Yeah, there's 2 different clearing throats, though.
There's
I don't want to get into it in front of the world right now.
100%.
But let me just say this. Let me start this rather cliche. I'm not going to even say it. I don't feel like Emily and I were saying ever making... There was you in an elevators...
There was from a concern of like, why are you clearing your throat like that?
No, there was no
so
concern.
Much?
There was
she
no
was
concern.
In an elevator. Yes. So it's act like she's not here right now. So when she was in an elevator and people were in the elevator, it would be her like hem.
Yeah.
That's what we
the
laughed
clearing
at.
throat was
I think you're conflating it a bit.
And it wasn't just like it was like a minute long.
I'm trying to save myself here, guys.
Yeah, you're trying so hard to save face, but the reality of it is that I had a tumor and you guys laughed at me.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we didn't laugh when we found out it was a tumor.
We just heard that.
She heard that. We didn't laugh when we found out it was a tumor. But we did. We're like, oh, this makes so much sense.
I can't. All right.
Okay. Well, it's fine. We brought that on myself. I brought that on myself. It's fine. I brought that on us, but it's fine.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up. Literally.
That's all I can think about. Like, what, Andrea? You have to give your story here.
I'm gonna hear it. I'm gonna hear about it.
You have full permission to call me out for my health issues, but you kind of did with the Botox, so it's
one thing, one time. Okay.
Yeah, well, I can't help it. I don't have that much.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Last question. Here we go. All right. This is from Ashley. Hi. Wondering your thoughts on liposomals that have a base of sunflower seed oil. Many doctor recommended brands with efficacious doses of vitamins, minerals have sunflower oil as the main ingredient. I believe liposomals are the best way to get vitamin C, turmeric, zinc, amino acids, etc. But I also want to limit my omega-6 intake. For example, ironically, Mary Ruth's omega-3 liposomal has sunflower oil base, even though it has omega-3s added from algae oil. Are the healing properties of high-dose vitamins worth the downsides of sunflower oil? What factors should we be considering when making these decisions? Thank you.
Yeah. So, we know Mary Ruth, the telehealth clinic. Mm-hmm. So it just so happens, again, big wellness. We all know each other. We're all at our.
We meet every week in our secret group. Don't come here on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m.
Our Illuminati meetings. Big wellness. We love Mary Ruth. Yeah. So, anyways, here's the deal. Let's talk about the differences here. When you talk about liposomal technology, that's not the use of technology, but liposomal deliverability systems, vehicle using liposomal. Is that what you would call it? Technology? Why am I?
Yeah.
No,
that's what it would be
delivery
referred
system
to.
is how I would
yes.
say it.
But that's the technology.
It's the technology. Yeah,
you're
right.
You're right. Thanks for helping me out. So it's a supplement that uses liposomes to deliver the nutrient. Okay. Is that better way of putting it? Mm-hmm. And there's different ways to get liposomal. There's different supplements that come in liposomal form. Vitamin C, glutathione, they mentioned. What other ones?
CoQ10.
Yeah. Things that it enhances the bioavailability. And that's why we utilize certain nutrients to be delivered in a liposomal form. So I think there may be a little bit conflation. You guys push back on me on this. Because sunflower oil, like a cooking oil, is not the same compound that's oftentimes used in liposomal supplements.
Yes.
Oftentimes it's sunflower lecithin or even soy lecithin as a derivative, an aspect of sunflower, the sunflower seed and the oil extraction process, but it's not the same thing. So but it's confusing, I get it, and it's when it's conflated with seed oils and the conversation around seed oils and inflammation and decreasing omega-6 content. Where does this does this mean that liposomal supplements that are using these fats, these polyunsaturated fatty acids from these plants, are they bad? Are they contributing to this omega-6 ratio problem that the modern Western diet has? Very different. Sunflower lecithin, if that's what you're seeing on, because I get this question from people. They'll see sunflower or even soy on there and they think, okay, I heard about soy, I heard about seed oils, like, is this the same thing? Sunflower lecithin has a lot of benefits to it. It supports brain health because why? It's a source of phosphatidylcholine.
Right.
So it is a precursor to acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter that we need for increased cognitive function and focus. It improves liver function, supports detox pathways. It aids metabolism of the liver, decreasing fatty liver problems with this healthy compound called sunflower lecithin. And there's studies that show it can even lower cholesterol levels because of its work upon the liver because of that. So let's look at the omega-6 content, because this is like kind of the conflation, I think, a bit, is the omega-6. The modern Western diet is too high, largely, in omega-6, which is a polyunsaturated fatty acid, or a PUFA, and it could be throwing off the omegas 3, 6, and 9 ratio. Omega-6 in their whole food form in small amounts, needed. A lot of these are essential fatty acids, meaning your body needs to get these from foods.
Needs a balance.
Like linoleic acid, right? But it's just disproportionate. It's not what humans would have consumed for eons. So the modern Western diet is exponentially more omega-6 and deficient in omega-3s, which is a pro-inflammatory, pro-oxidative state when you're talking about cellular health, right, and metabolic health and immune health. Sunflower oil is 65 to 70% omega-6. So for every 100 grams of sunflower oil, you're getting 65 to 70 grams of linoleic acid, omega-6, right? Maybe fine in small amounts, not so great in these seed oils, these industrial seed oils. Sunflower lecithin is less than 1% omega-6. So for every 100 grams of sunflower lecithin, you're getting less than 1 gram of linoleic acid. So if that's what you're seeing on the label of that supplement,
for clarification, it was sunflower oil. I double and triple checked.
For that
Well,
specific
for the omega. For the omega.
One specific. So this is why each
It's
supplement.
each
different.
supplement you need to read the label.
You have to look at,
understand
because some of the other ones that were mentioned, because again, even using the language that it's the main ingredient, that's, obviously it's the other ingredient.
That's a good point too.
Yes.
Right, like-
Sometimes these are just
Like
Small
the
amounts.
inactive,
Small
small,
even
like
though it's
other-
sunflower oil, it's part of like a proprietary
Right.
blend. It's not like
Yeah.
the
Well,
majority
and what it
of
sounds
it.
to me then is not so much a liposomal, but like a vegan omega oil.
That's what I think is again, I think it's kind of mixing two different scenarios here, because a lot of those liposomal formulas, it's just one of like the other ingredients, and it probably is more of the sunflower wow, I can't talk today. Lecithin. So I think that this one specifically, the omega, is just a different story, a different case.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because all the liposomal supplements I know of, it's not sunflower oil.
No, it's the lecithin. Yes, absolutely.
And they're derivatives. They are from the
Right.
plant, but they're not high in omega-6, and they're small amounts anyway. So it's just like, it's really...
And that's the other thing, even with the sunflower oil. How much are you talking about? Are you taking it every day? Like, it's these... You don't want to be so myopic that you are missing the benefits of other things because you're so hung up on this, because you're probably the same person that's still going out and getting fast food. And by fast food, I don't mean convenience food at like places like McDonald's and Burger King. I'm talking
packaged healthier
healthier
that
foods.
have sunflower oil.
One in their crackers or in their,
or-
100%. I'm talking about convenience foods, I guess is what I'm talking about, or even eating out at restaurants. They're not deep frying their their stuff in lard most of the time. They're deep frying it in.
I just also feel like if you're getting supplements that are liposomal, I'm not saying that, like, again, third party testing, you want to make sure they're good quality, but like most likely these are great quality supplements.
Yeah.
If you're vetting them, right? But at least the ones that I know of that we use that are liposomal that we've curated, like, to me, like, those are probably going to benefit you more than anything.
Yeah. And then just look at the context. Like, what if it is sunflower oil and not sunflower lecithin? how much are you consuming, and what's the rest of the omega-3 content throughout the day? That negligible amount of sunflower oil
is not going
That's my
to.
point.
Yeah.
Is like if you're eating real whole foods, you're cooking and eating olive
it's a
oil
balance.
and
It's not
ghee
gonna hurt.
and good quality animal tallow and lard. This isn't something you have to worry about your teaspoon of liposomal sunflower oil. It's just not a major concern.
And look,
There's organic.
Why are seed oils problematic? They're high omega-6 content, but it's also their processing. So is it like an organic expeller pressed, cold pressed, sunflower oil, or is it conventional, non-organic canola oil? So I don't want to be too broad sweeping with, there are like good, better, best, or even there's like really bad, okay,
really, really bad,
okay, and neutral. Like, and you know what I mean? It's like they're maybe not the best because I don't use it in my life.
I wouldn't. But we do have quite a few products that have the lecithin in it, and that's because
that's
different.
That's
different.
Yeah,
that's my point.
It's different.
That's my point. Is that like that you have to know and understand what you're reading. Patients do this all the time. We're like, no, you're okay. And I think, quite honestly, it's just the sheer quantity of how much of these industrialized seed oils that people have in their everyday life now too. Why do you want to have it in your supplement if it's avoidable? That's a good question too.
Yeah,
it's
and
good.
I don't know the specific supplement, but it's like I would.
Well, I don't want to call anybody out specifically.
Yeah, I don't know that specific supplement per se. I don't. Yeah, that's my thoughts there. So don't be afraid of the liposomal supplement delivery system, and look for that lecithin term, because that is utilized on its own, but also as an ingredient.
Mm-hmm. It's good.
Yeah.
It's an emulsifier too, so it's used in different packaged foods as well.
Yeah.
Great. Is that all of the
That's
questions?
it.
Wow.
That's it for today.
All right, guys. If you want to learn more about all the stuff we're talking about, tons of free content too. Like if you type in any health topic you want to type in under the sun at drrulcole.com, I've probably written about it. So go there. I think the articles are a nice,
it's a free resource.
literary
Yeah.
companion piece to the podcast, which is also free.
Yeah.
So read and listen both, because I think that could really enhance your deep learning and passion for wellness.
And not to make a pun, but I mean, it's very digestible. Like these are things that people can really, we try and do that for you. We try and do that for our listeners, for the people that are reading our articles, our blogs, the things you've written, Dr. Cole, over the years, are meant for people who want to understand on a basic level. But we also do a lot of
my articles basic.
I was gonna just let me finish my thought. They're on a general level, but also I think we give the resources and the deeper understanding that they can also lean into as well.
Yeah, there's something for everybody. There are there are like 101 articles, and then there's more deep ones.
Yeah.
And I reference everything to the studies. You can kind of expand. You can have further reading if you want to beyond that.
Yeah.
So not too basic, right?
Well, I mean,
You're a little basic.
You did make fun of me already today, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, guys. We love each other, right?
Yes.
Yes, we
The
do.
show's been sponsored by Lumpy.
I hate you.
Okay, guys. We'll see you next time.